Call this meeting to order.
Mr. Cantor.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Buckley.
Here.
As you wish, please stand for the pledge and the invocation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the first time in clerk, please. Sorry.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts that you bestowed on us. We also thank you this past weekend for the gifts of our Father, whether they be with us now or be with you. We thank you for their guidance. Now, dear Father, we ask you for your guidance in the decisions that we make today and in the future of this county. All these things we ask in your Son's name, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. I started to say for the first time in a few weeks we don't have any agenda amendment to go through. So here's our consent agenda as printed. Motion, please.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We do have one tabled agenda item. And does anyone want to talk about the ARPA funding going for the jail project?
The application paperwork has not been completed at this point, so we ask that you table it for the future.
Table it or just let it get back on? Let's just not table it and let them put it back on the agenda when it is ready.
That's fine.
Thank you. Okay. Mileage reimbursement increase. We have been on 47 cents a mile for some time. And some of you may have noticed that the gasoline prices have gone up a little bit. So anyway, we may need to bump that up. Now the rule is that we can't go above the IRS approved amount of 58.5, and we must stay below that by 3 cents a mile. So, so that's that. Now, my suggestion, and it's up to talk from these guys, is to go to 50 cents per mile effective today, and then any form turned in after today is at that rate no matter when the miles are driven. Now, at that point, I'm ready for suggestions from anybody else on this board up here, or from anyone else.
Well, the state's shifting to 55, and the Fed's shifting to 62 as of July 1st. 62 and a half. So just that's for your information.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Because they are both announced an increase this past week.
I asked Louis' office to give us a report, and they did a good job on that. Yeah,
So you
they've
see
been
where it was
56, they're
last
going to 58.5, and they have gone to 58.5 now. So we can go as high as 55.5. So I'm up for suggestions from some of you guys.
Well, if you guys have been anywhere, you know, I just took a vacation and most of it was gas. When gas exceeds where you're staying, that's a pretty bad amount. So I don't know what your feelings, but does anybody else have anything you want to say before I?
Well, make a
we
suggestion.
talked about whether
Make your
you should.
suggestion, and then we'll work from that.
Okay. I would actually like to make a motion that we raise our mileage rate to 55.5.
Go to the full max.
Starting at, well, yes, and starting effective June 21st.
How about making an even number?
I want to go 50, let's go 55.
That's where the state is, but you,
Yeah.
so that, I mean, that would make sense that you're
Well, it would
reimbursing
be
the same as the
reimbursed.
state.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a-
Yes. 55.
Okay, do I have a motion on that, and then we'll go for
I just
suggestions.
made a motion, that's my
Okay, that's a
motion.
motion, second.
Okay, I'm gonna second that.
Okay, now, questions, comments?
Traditionally, the commission has always stayed 3 cents below whatever the state average is. So that would fall within the recommendation or the.
Do you agree with 55 rather than 55.5?
I think it's simple.
Oh my,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm
I don't
thinking.
understand why it's 69.9.
Thank you, I'll do that.
Okay, so let's keep it simple with 55. If that's, unless I hear a comment from anybody else, it is a bigger hit on our budget. But I think it's, you know, we're asking people to drive their cars and pay their costs and all that. So let's okay, any other comments?
So,
Yes,
Harold,
Parks.
how often can we look at changing this?
We can do it again
Okay. I was
next
just gonna
week
say,
if you want
if
to.
they're calling up to $8 by August, I mean, just thought we might be looking at this again probably another month or two.
Oh, Mr. Optimist.
Just make sure, I mean, I just don't wanna, if we're gonna make a change now and not be able to, I mean, if it goes up $3 in a couple months, I mean, we're gonna definitely have to look at something
as it happens, that 47-cent rate was passed before I came on in 2015. So it's, I'm guessing 13, somewhere in there. So it's been around that long.
Yeah.
But there is no time limit on this.
Okay, that's why just to make sure it wasn't like an annual thing that we're.
And the gas could drop back to
Yeah.
35 cents a gallon too.
And you can't charge boat fuel. Can't charge
I said
boat fuel.
could.
So I said, I'm going to Lake in 2 weeks, I hope the prices do start dropping back down again, or it won't be
I hope
much
so,
of.
too.
Go sell those service
Let's
stations, right?
wait for
Hey,
it.
do you wanna go sit in the boat?
Yep, let's go park out in the water.
The lake is pretty
Okay.
bad right now.
Okay, no other comments and questions, I see.
I've got, we can always like fluctuate there, we can go up if we have to go up. If the gas comes back down, which I really doubt if we see cheap gas anymore, we can drop back down. I agree with Dave, I mean, if you've got a car and you're out on the road today,
Yeah.
55 cents probably is not even gonna cover the difference.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
So
make
I'm
sure it
gonna
wasn't
agree.
a.
That is our limit, effectively our limit. Okay. Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, all in favor of the motion to go the 55-cent rate and effective immediately, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving along. Approved contract with MoDOT for, Department of Correction, I'm sorry, not MoDOT, Missouri Department of Corrections, and that's the East, Department of Voluntary Prison. Okay, Road and Bridge is wanting to approve this contract. You guys gonna make a presentation?
Yeah, we can. Clay Copeland with Road and Bridge. We had discussed this at last week's meeting, and since that time, we do have a contract with them that they've provided for us. We have scheduled our training, 1st of July, and our tentative plans is to begin this Monday morning, July 11th is when we will start this program. Now, we're working on the van and the trailer, that won't take very much to do, and we'll have that completed. But we did provide a copy of the contract that we got from ERDCC. We have a copy with the clerk's office, a copy in the auditor's office, and the commission should have a copy as well. All pertinent information, all specifics, all legal requirements are all within this. It's a multi-page contract, probably 10, 15 pages, is all in there. So we provided that to all the officers, and we are just asking for the commission's official approval and meeting to begin this program.
I talk about training of the people in the system. How many of our people will be trained and by whom?
There'll be about 8, John and I and 6 others, and they will be trained by DOC staff. We have it set up.
DOT staff?
DOC.
Department of Corrections.
DOC.
Department of Corrections, okay.
Yes, DOC, ERDCC, but DOC staff. We'll do the training, it'll last approximately 2 hours, in which we will go over what we are required, what we can and cannot do, the payroll, all those specifics will be done in the training. It's tentatively scheduled for July the 6th at their facility, and if something happens and their facility is not available, they will come to us and train at our facility.
Is this going to take anybody's job?
Absolutely not. As we talked about last week, we will utilize these inmates, these offenders, for scattered trash pickup only, and it's just not something that the Road and Bridge Department has the time or the resources to do. So it's not something that we do anyway, we just can't. So they will be providing a public service through the Road and Bridge Department. And as far as taking any jobs away from anyone, no, they absolutely
I just
not.
want to make sure people knew that, because
Right.
I knew the answer, but I just wanted to make sure.
Right, they
It was
will.
asked and,
And also, Clay, when I know I get phone calls and to explain to people, good example, West Road, there's certain areas that people go and we have a big buildup of trash, and then these guys have to go out and.
It appears as though, and don't necessarily quote me on this, but the closer you get to town, closer you get to the municipalities, the worse the trash is.
Yes.
It appears that way.
You made a comment last week that the public might like to know, we will have, as you said, a county employee with this group.
Correct.
But the county employee will also be doing some of the maintenance that would normally be done by
They
a
will.
county employee, that
They
would
will.
be weeding around the stop signs and that type thing.
They
So we
will be
getting-
there to supervise, but they will also be performing a function.
So they'll have a weed eater and different
Yes.
tools, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So as duties require, as circumstances require, they will be performing duties that we would normally do anyway. A road bridge employee will be.
So you have one trained employee of the county
Correct.
with 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5.
No more than four.
No more
No
than
more than
four.
4
inmates.
detainees.
Yes,
Correct.
And it's Bonterra Prison, not our local jail detainees.
Correct.
Okay, now, no one is armed on the crew,
Correct.
including the supervisor.
Correct.
Correct.
So if Jim Bob decides to make a run for it, what happens?
Let him run.
And then the first call is to the ERDCC.
Let them handle the problem.
Correct.
Okay, we don't chase, we don't,
Nope.
we just make the call.
We supervise, and now we'll go through all this in the training, but we supervise and make sure that all rules are adhered to. These offenders are anywhere from 6 months to a year being released anyway, so the likelihood of them running is very slight, but still not saying it couldn't happen. But I think the policy on that is if one of them decides to run, that we let it.
It's gonna really kill them because they're gonna get slapped
Yes.
by
Oh.
years back in it, but
Correct.
the way they
Please
do
don't
that
use
is.
the word kill them.
The way they do that is, as they prepare for release, they go through a period of time when they can be trustees and do these
Correct.
other jobs. Then there's a short period, I don't know what it is now, like 60 days that they cannot be out. And for whatever reason, I don't know what the explanation is, but they come out of it and go back in preparation. I guess they don't want anybody doing something stupid 2 days from their parole period, so that they're not on, right? So you can't say that last week they were working on the crew and this week they're out, because they take a period of time and give them a buffer period of time away from.
And realize too that nearly all the municipalities within St. Francis County utilize this service.
Washington County, Madison
Washington
County.
County does. It's not something new.
No.
It's new for St. Francis County, but it's not new for the citizens of St. Francis County.
We had looked at it in the past, but it just didn't work out then. But-
Well, we had looked
COVID
into
hit.
it prior to COVID, and then
That's-
when COVID
yeah.
hit, it shut it all down.
Nobody was getting any
And,
workers during that time.
So it's been a lengthy process per se, due for the last couple of years of things been going on in society.
And part of the agreement will be whether we write a check to the prison or a check to each detainee.
We'll find that out during training. I actually put a call in, myself and Commissioner Cater did today to find that out. They're gonna get back to us, but I'm sure that'll all be addressed at the training
Okay.
orientation.
And we will be required to provide them with a prison supplied lunch for their nutrition
They bring it with
control or
them.
They
whatever.
bring us that.
Ain't gonna be no drive-through McDonald's.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay,
And we will have Johnny on our vehicle,
yeah.
all that, so.
Yeah, look,
Who's responsible for workman's comp?
in the contract,
It's all in the contract.
and we haven't
It's
seen
the
that
state.
all yet.
Is it the state? I thought they were,
Yes.
I thought state was pretty well responsible for most everything.
State's pretty well responsible for anything, they're just kind of subcontractors.
But it's a
That's
good
what it was
question.
when we were in the city, so when we had contracts.
And
I can't believe it would be
This is
different.
coming out of your budget,
Correct.
approximate cost, do you think, through the end of the year?
So, Johnny's about $100 a month. We're gonna have some increased fuel cost. We're gonna see the landfill cost.
Yeah, I missed that on the list, yeah.
Landfill,
And then you're looking at $750 a day per employee.
$30 a day roughly. So we haven't really sat down and ran all the numbers, but we are anticipating additional costs, yes.
Bob?
I assume that the locations where you're going to use these inmates are not advertised.
It's a different location every day, and they won't know till that morning when they show up to the
Don't
room.
want any chance of calling a girlfriend and saying, I'll be here.
No.
Put the drugs under the red bandana.
And if we're on a road and we don't finish it, we may come out and finish it 3 or 4 days.
It's about most of the time, it's.
Be a different road
in-
every day.
In the training that they'll go through, most of the time it's you don't have them in the same place twice.
Right.
Dan, didn't you make a mention, they're pretty, like say they're near the end or get out within a year, but if they would happen to do something, what was it, you said they get 5 years automatic?
Mandatory 5-year sentence for attempted escape or an escape.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah, the
you might
price
address
today for
in
somebody
that
that's almost out.
play when you talk to the ERDC is to contact law enforcement if someone does run off or just them, or
We'll find that out.
wait for them, cause if, and the only reason I ask is that if citizens are in danger, somebody trying to steal a car to get away, get out of there, or something like that, we need to know sooner than later.
Sooner, yeah.
And if you would address that with them.
Sheriff, do you know, in, let's say, the last 10 years, has any municipality ever had one abscond?
Not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have happened.
Oh, right.
Cause the prison doesn't always contact us.
I've always,
Well, I can tell you in Deloge, nobody's charged.
I've always wondered why a prisoner that's loose is at large. Now, if they're in, are they at small? I beat you on that one.
Yes, you did, very good.
So,
Okay, anyway.
So is the county commission prepared to amend the budget at the end of the year on
With
the
this
road
extra
bridge?
trash pickup, yes, we will.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd say we'd be somewhere around 50,000 or less.
We'll do
That's
it.
just kind of rough.
And you talk about, we already paid landfill, but it's hopefully gonna be a great deal more, because we're gonna be putting a lot more trash over there.
Hopefully daily, daily, every other day, we'll have a load.
Okay. So, by the way, this trailer will be long enough to load the bags on, plus having the porta potty and all that.
Yeah, and if they're charging us our minimum, let's like hold it for a day.
Excuse me?
If they're charging us a minimum every day, let's make sure we hold it just a little bit and turn it in all at once.
It'll be more than.
Whatever we can put on the track.
Are you talking about the Johnny on the spot or the track?
I do think
Moving
this-
right along.
Sorry.
Okay.
This will be a benefit though, because if you
Oh.
drive around the other
Oh,
municipalities,
huge.
these guys do a good job.
All right.
So, and one reason we learned back when we first started looking at this is not to use the local jail people, because it could be that some guy driving by and there's the guy that was bothering my daughter. So he just goes home and gets his gun. And so you'd have that situation. You'll have a much reduced chance of that with the volunteer people rather than the local jail.
Right,
Well,
they
like
come from
Sheriff
all
said,
over the
free
state,
trial,
they're
yeah.
not just local
And-
people like mine.
And I would like to emphasize what Commissioner Cater brought up, the fact that they will not be doing tasks that we normally do. And related to that, we actually, as we discussed at last week's meeting, we actually will be hiring an additional employee at Road and Bridge. So we're upping our staff a little bit to
Yeah,
perform
we
this
approved that,
function.
what, last week?
Yes.
In the last 2 weeks, yeah.
So we are adding another employee to Road and Bridge, which we hadn't budgeted for either, to Mr. Auditor. But we didn't know when this would be implemented, so we did not budget for that. So that's another expense that was unforeseen. Or, well, it was foreseen, but we didn't know when. So,
What is your total employment of the road and bridge?
with this new employee, will be 35.
35,
It was
okay.
34 prior to that, now this will be 35.
Okay. And that's down from 46 at one time. isn't it?
Correct. We were as low as 27, slowly built back up, but we're fine.
You've got better equipment, more equipment.
And good help.
Well, we've kind of transitioned from a maintenance crew to a construction maintenance crew.
And we've got good help.
Okay. All right, do I have, do I have a motion to approve this contract of, now that's with you guys and not the county? Is that the way that works?
Well,
It would
if
be
you,
Be with the county.
it's with the county.
Because it's-
Through the Road and Bridge
Yeah,
Department.
yes, okay.
Yes.
So, the approval of the contract with, Department of Corrections and the county for this work.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with Missouri Department of Corrections, ERDCC, for Road and Bridge through the county.
Second?
I'll second that.
Now, any more questions or comments?
You got that?
Dan?
Should we not see the contract before we approve it? I mean,
Well, this,
I think Clay said.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Commission
have.
has a copy,
We have.
clerk has a
Oh, you
copy,
have.
auditor has a
Okay.
Yeah.
copy.
The only thing we're waiting on is who we write the check to.
Oh, okay. I thought Clay said that we had.
No, they had the copy early last week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wednesday, I believe.
Good
Right.
meeting.
Good answer, good question.
good question, and good clarification. Okay, any other questions? All in favor of approving this contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, thank you, Clay. Speed limit on O'Banion Road, discussion and possibly setting a new limit. You guys wanna handle this? Kind of pointed up there.
Yeah. Yes, we've had some complaints that O'Bannon Road, which basically runs from Hillsborough to D Highway, is an extension of Hunt Road, which is here out by the golf course. It is a major cut through. It's utilized very heavily as a go around Farmington. Anyway, there is no speed limit currently on O'Bannon. Now Hunt Road, which comes all out to Flat Road near 67 by the golf course, it has a speed limit of 35 miles an hour. John and I, Road and Bridge would recommend continuing with 35 mile an hour speed limit here on O'Bannon. Evidently, there's been a lot of speeders through that area. People who live on that road have some small children and they're concerned about that and they call into us. So why there was never a speed limit put on O'Bannon, I don't know, but there's not currently. So we would recommend just placing a 35 mile an hour speed limit on O'Bannon.
Okay, is there a stop sign at east end of Bannon?
Yes, there's a stop sign here at Hillsborough, and then there's one right here at D
Okay.
Highway.
How many signs, Clay, too?
Just two, one at either end.
One on either.
Yeah.
Okay, now, it looks like there's only one driveway off of O'Banion. Is that true?
There's,
total.
yeah.
And that's the
Okay.
thing, they're building
They're
two,
building.
duplexes
So it's getting-
toward D.
Right.
And so, and they're, that's one of the increased traffic flow is one of the reasons they're concerned, but you have Sissons there, you have,
Right.
Bernie Gibson's,
Gibson.
and you have several.
Yep.
Okay,
And I don't know how many duplexes they're gonna put
But
in.
they're building several duplexes there.
So to make it official to establish the speed limit, it had to be ran through an open commission meeting. and the
Okay.
commission vote on it.
what about, Dan, what can your people do?
Well, and if we need to, and we haven't heard. about this,
Enforcement was the word I was looking for.
But we can spend some time out there, we have some radar guns, we can do a little traffic enforcement when we have time to. One of the reasons that we haven't had this in the past probably is because the road was an awful shape before, now it's
Yeah.
really nice out there.
Revenue paid road.
Could get up that speed.
And
So it's all your fault.
It is, that's our fault. It is.
So are you saying that you need an open commission meeting hearing, or they can do that in this meeting right now?
We've done this past just with our,
That's what,
They just
They're
have
the
to
ones that
vote.
have to.
Vote to establish it, to make it official,
That's
we will
fine.
get the signage
yeah,
up.
we've
trying
had
to
to do
establish what
signage.
type of motion you need.
So curious people don't yell at him, I'll make a motion that we set the speed limit at the 35 mile an hour limit with two signs out there
On O'Banion
on
Road.
O'Banion Road.
With, okay, with signage. Okay, second that?
I'll second that.
Now, any questions? Yes, Bob?
I was under the impression, maybe I'm wrong, that, any road had an automatic 25 mile an hour speed limit unless otherwise posted. Is that just cities or?
I think
That's cities.
Dan, in the
It's
speed limit,
55 unless posted.
55 in the county.
unless it's in an
55 unless
unincorporated town.
And yes,
That dropped to
unless it's
45.
otherwise posted.
That's
If
right.
not, it's 55, if it's not posted.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, if it's unincorporated and not posted, it's 45.
Well,
Okay.
I tell you,
Just
on
like,
Hunt Road, they're
uh,
doing that, so
An oblique.
Exactly.
even though it's posted.
But our recommendation was 35 due to the fact that that's what Hunt Road is
Yeah.
currently, and it's basically an extension. Why the road changes names at Hillsborough Road, I don't know, but it does.
Okay. Now, about what distance is that? Mileage?
Half mile.
Half
Eight
mile.
and a half mile?
I didn't say.
7/10 of a mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought half was.
Okay, no other questions? Dan?
Clay, just, and if you have any other complaints like that on speed and stuff, you let us know, we'll try to.
The Hamptons are the one that called in with the complaint.
Okay, no other questions? All in favor of setting the speed limit at 35 miles per hour on O'Banion Road, effective when the signs go up?
Yes.
Then please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you so much, guys. Okay, request to bid road striping, I had to do that picture.
It's like,
Go ahead. If you're out there, go ahead and solicit bid for striping this year.
Yeah, we would like to request request to bid out, competitively bid, our road striping for, various roads. Roughly 20 miles is normally what we stripe. Now, we'll have to restripe some of our roads that we've striped in the past, and then, stripe some of our newly overlaid roads as well. We normally get a price per foot, per linear foot, and we will double yellow, solid double yellow stripe every road that we have.
Now, you say you had trouble in the past, have those problems been cleaned up? cleared up.
problems in regards to law.
Didn't last long, for one thing.
Yeah, so that's why we're changing
Well-
our application this year.
Right, we're changing our application to do it later in the year as opposed to early.
Moisture?
That, and, it seems like we peel these stripes off with our snow plows, we do it real close to winter, so.
I think the last time we had it done was in October.
Right, want to do it earlier than later, so that it has time to maybe set and reestablish a little more, but the stripes just wear off, they just don't last.
You know those temporary stripes they nail down and stick up? I was talking to the highway engineer one time and I said, how do those come up? And he said, we have a special machine to remove those. It's called a snowplow. So that's how they do those, but this is attached to the road, not standing up.
This isn't an annual bid, it would be a competitive bid, typically we've only had one contractor.
Last 2 years we've always
There's
won.
not many stripers out there, guys.
Clay, is this mainly on the main thoroughfares?
Main
then?
arteries, yes.
Yeah.
Main arteries and main arteries that have been recently overlaid, we do as well. Newly paved main arteries as well. We don't stripe all of our roads, it's just not practical to do.
Okay. See, I don't have a motion on it.
I'll make a motion, we request the bid, road and bridge for the road striping.
I'll second.
Questions? Bob?
Is there any relationship between the time that you overlay it versus when you stripe it? In other words, if you stripe right after you overlay it, is that less likely to, is the stripe less likely to?
Are you asking if the oils are still wet?
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what we're gonna try to do this year, is change that time frame. According to the contractors, it doesn't. And when you read through the MUTCD, it doesn't really give you a guideline to go by. But that is how we apply our striping, you know, per mil on secondary roads, when we bid this out. It's following the traffic codes.
And I'm sure the striper will have some advice too on
He normally does.
it. He knows when his work looks bad, when it looks good.
And as I stated before, it's solid double yellow lines, what we do on all our roads.
Without the
we're not-
possum.
We're not without the
Well,
possum. We're not going to establish passing lanes or, you know, passenger on this.
And not the outside lane either, not
No.
the outside white.
That's just not practical
Yeah.
for us to do.
Okay, and I know our people appreciate them. Okay, any other questions? All in favor of allowing the bid for road striping, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Clay. Road status, Ms. Humfleet, would you please, yeah, and please start with your name.
Hi, I am Julie Umpley, and I'm just here inquiring about the road status on Ridgetop Drive. As far as the county provides services, snow plowing, that type of stuff.
Okay. This, for you that don't know, is the road atop the hilltop over, Farms, Rural King, couldn't think of the name of it. You go up the steep hill and there you are up there. So
Still hard.
it's a unusual position for us because of that steep hill. So Road and Bridge has talked about this and
We have.
I think they would like to
This
talk
has
about
been
what
an
they're
issue
doing.
several times, since you're up there, I'll just sit here. There was an amendment made, in 2010, April 20th of 2010. Commissioner Burgess stated that he had not included all the roads. And this was seconded by Commissioner Mullins to adopt Whitetail Lane, Maple Hill, Doe Lane, Ridgetop Drive, Timber Lane, and Fawn Circle as county roads, and to do road maintenance only, and will not include mowing and snow removal.
Or overlay.
No, road maintenance, I mean, it says road
You do the
maintenance.
potholes, but not the,
Well, I mean, overlays road maintenance,
how many, pipes and stuff are there in that road at the top of the hill?
there is none,
None at all,
no.
okay?
No culvert pipes under the, main roads.
So that's not an
It's just
issue.
driveway
Now, we
culverts.
have installed driveway culverts as we do throughout the county.
Does that take in all the roads that are there right now? Or
It
is there
takes in
more?
the roads that are listed
Okay.
here.
Well, is what I
No
mean
new
is-
roads,
Is there any, yeah,
and these
We
are
stick to the
all
list.
paved.
okay, gotcha.
So what you want is to take this over as complete maintenance, the whole thing?
Yes, because I do believe you received money and funding for this
Snow
road.
removal, all of
Yes,
that?
all of that.
Okay, now we
Who
have
receives-
to go
who
through
receives
some,
money?
We do, cart funds.
We receive
Oh,
our
oh, I
funds.
see.
yeah. that was-
When, evidently when the commission back in 2010 made this motion, even though there was restrictions on what maintenance was to be performed on those roads, they were listed as county roads, and MoDOT and the state list them as,
County maintained roads,
That's
and we
what we see.
receive cart funds for them.
which isn't a ton of money. It's nowhere near enough as any of our roads. It's not enough money to maintain our roads, but it is funding.
Okay, now, is it safe to say that if we follow her wishes, that we are just adapting our initial agreement and not taking on a new road?
That's correct, because in
Correct.
here, the minutes stated it is a county road.
It is a county road now. We're just adapting the agreement on what we do and what we don't do.
Maintenance is done up there, because road maintenance is pretty vague. Is that
Okay.
pothole? Is that overlay? Because overlay is part of our road maintenance, what we include is road maintenance, on any of the other county roads. What about signage? It doesn't address signage in here, and that's part of road maintenance, whether you put a curve sign up or a stop sign.
It just specifically states what we will
Not do.
Not do.
Okay, now, you named several roads here. Are we talking about this road only?
This would be the roads that are in the minutes.
So are we not talking about changing all of those roads, just this one?
No, there's
No,
no
they're all-
changes
no
involved. It's
changes.
already-
Good point, thank you for that. Not changing, okay, just adapting the agreement on that.
The agreement was very confusing, it's very vague, it's very
Why
hard.
are you nodding your head so well?
Well, we recently built a house there, so I was not a part of all of that, but I know at that
Right.
time, I think the HOA was still present and it has since been dissolved. So,
Well, and
just getting a clear cut answer when we're buying the land.
And for us to give an
Is it
answer,
a county road or is it not? That's
Kinda
what
hard
we're
to do.
using.
This
You know,
was,
Nick
this was
brought
just
up-
poor legislative action, and you see what results have, because
Yes.
when you leave
I
stuff,
agree.
then it's gonna be misinterpreted, because there's so many
Let me tell you about some
subdivisions
other
that have,
subdivisions.
you know, we've got Big River Hills that want you to take them over and stuff, and if you're gonna say, well, we'll take it over for maintenance, but not all of it, or whatever, you're just creating a nightmare.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
our-
and Nick brought up a good point too, you know, it's a county maintained road, but if a private company comes in to do snow plowing, what happens if they just tear the road up? If we're still responsible to come in and fix the roadway.
For instance, we had to, how did we do the road pavement on the steep hill? They
So
couldn't get their
that
equipment
was
on
an
that because of
intergovernmental
oil.
agreement between Wendell and, the city of Farmington. At that time, there was some legislation or literature that we could give money to
To cities.
municipalities. And I think that was about $100,000 that the
Yeah.
county spent to overlay the hill.
Because they couldn't get the standard equipment up because of oil on that steep hill.
And realize that that steep hill is not part of this.
Yeah.
It's not.
Now, that's it.
That's
But
it.
you'd have to plow it usually.
We'd have
Well,
to
the city
make a lane.
couldn't maintain
It's
it
not
last
even
year,
so they
we had to
could-
go up there.
Kid City couldn't do it, so we did.
It's not, I don't even think it's in the city, but the problem is, they've got a water tower and everything up there,
Right
and so
there
they,
at the
they
top.
have to
Yeah.
do some,
Maintain it.
maintain it even though it's not in the city.
We've helped the city out in the past as far as getting that hill cleared so they can get to
It
the.
is,
Now,
the
is that-
technical term
is
is
that-
cluster, is, I think the technical.
Abbreviated, yeah.
What's the name of the road going from, say, this new stop sign up to the top of the hill? Is that
Maple
Ridge
Hill
Drive?
Maple Hill.
Maple Hill, okay.
Yes, and as soon as you get past the water tower, which you can see the water tower on
The
the
big
south
white
side, that's about where county maintenance
Is that the
starts.
white spot?
Yes,
Okay.
that's where the county maintenance sign is located.
John, do you and Clay spend a lot of time out there now?
We don't.
Not really. It's hard for us to give a clear cut answer when people ask us why it's this way. It was like,
This is what the minutes
we
state.
wield
but
these minutes like a gun, you know, so.
Okay.
But
They're very vague.
they're very vague, and John and I's position as head of the road and bridge department has always been, and I know we've said this many times, we should either do everything or nothing
If they go out,
on a county road, all or nothing.
if on their own, somebody else builds a new house and they build it down by, just take one, take one of those roads, I don't care where you go.
Like here?
Cause you can go anywhere and probably build, yeah, wherever. So they extend that road and they build a house there. We're not taking that, we're just stopping right where the roads are right now.
Basically, the
So that
asphalt.
would
The
be-
main road.
Yeah.
Would those be signs also that say?
Yes, because
county
if you look
maintenance
at this
interior?
portion right here,
Yes.
if you go to the left,
Yeah,
to the west that takes you down to the park entrance.
Yes.
There's a new road. Carrie and I were out there, what was it, last year,
Yes.
Carrie?
They've
There's
got
some
the
new houses
outfit.
going in back here now.
That will not include
That
that.
would not be part
Okay.
of the county infrastructure.
Gotcha.
So it's not that we would be taking in additional
That's what I want to
roadway.
make sure people know,
It's
yes.
a portion that the county adopted in
Gotcha.
2010 as a county road initially.
Now, that's a new road?
This right here was cut in as a new
Yeah.
road, right here.
Okay, and it has a different name than Ridgetop.
That I can't see it.
Well, I didn't show it.
Hawk Hollow, okay.
So
Yeah.
we're just basically, if we do this, would be maintaining what is there right now.
That's correct.
And what's technically listed is already out.
And we are getting funds from the state.
Absolutely.
And really, this was a different commission that passed this. You basically say if we wanna maintain it, we will maintain it.
We'll take all, we'll do all.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the suggested wording of a motion to do this work?
Why don't you come back with some recommendations
go.
on specifically what the county's gonna do and what they're
Yeah,
not
we
gonna
can
do?
table this
and
till
then-
next week,
Yeah,
and you guys work,
Okay. You want some,
clarify.
a recommendation?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We can
Bob?
do that.
I know we're talking about this one road, but you have several other roads.
Yeah, they
that are
named
in the
several.
same-
He's talking about what's on
Well,
that list.
If you're
Some of
going
them, go ahead.
Some of it's this right here, it may be only 100 feet long, this
Yeah.
little dead end.
There's a couple
Oh, was that on
cul-de-sacs.
that list?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
can we deal with all of those at one time? And-
Yeah,
Yes,
we wanna.
absolutely.
Oh,
This is-
okay.
We will.
We're basically addressing this road adoption amendment.
Okay, I was under the
So,
impression that we were
okay,
just.
road adoption amendment, okay.
That's how it was labeled in 2010.
Were all the roads listed that you named in this neighborhood?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
They're
that
all,
clarifies that.
and
Okay.
they're all listed on our site as,
All we're gonna do is clean this up and make it official.
that's it. That
That's
We're
it.
gonna include all maintenance on said roads.
Yes,
Mark?
thank you.
Are these roads already at county specifications?
So there was some, if you read back through these minutes, there were some recommendations to get them up to county specs back in 2010. The one is not quite wide enough, like what we try to do when we overlay a 20-foot roadway. It's probably 16 to 17 foot. As far as the base, we're very unsure of what that base was. But for the most part, the roads are in very good shape.
Good shape. So you're not looking at massive
Overlays?
updates
No,
to
there
this
needs to be
and,
some,
other than
there
road
needs to be
signs.
some maintenance done up there, but.
That's,
There's
when you
no-
clarify your stuff, you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna say, if it's gonna be overlaid or when it's gonna be overlaid, because that's not a high traffic area compared to other county roads.
Just like anywhere else.
Bob?
Will you be adding, county maintenance in signs at the end of the?
They're already there.
They're already there? Okay.
Okay, so what we would like to do then is table this 1 week,
Sure.
Sure.
table it for 1 week, and you guys will come back with a suggested motion
Yes.
to do this.
For
To
clarification.
amend the minutes of 2000.
Do that in your suggestion.
Okay.
All I'm asking for is a suggested motion
Sure.
to present next week, and you may or may not wish to come back. I enjoy watching your smile. I haven't seen you cry yet, so other than that, but,
That's right.
And to be honest with you, we really couldn't address this issue until a citizen came to us to address it. That's why it's never been addressed before.
Right.
I'm glad you built the house up there.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
And I bet they are too.
We are.
Okay, so that's tabled with that suggestion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Now, invalidated tax sale due to mapping error. Pam, you wanna talk about this? I've got the dollar figures up here, and I'm not sure how you want that worded on the forgiveness or whatever that is. Yeah, go ahead and give your talk.
Okay, in 2021, we sold a piece of property that had a mapping error on it, and the mapping error went back to 2017. We discovered it when the purchaser had title search done. So it changed so much that we just couldn't go ahead with the sale, because he bought it with a house on it, and it turned out that the house was no longer on it.
Details.
There's also.
The house was there, but it wasn't on the property.
And also the names of who owned the property had changed. So, I asked that we had the invalid sale, That is the expense out of general revenue. As far as our office, we will be refunding those taxes, so he will get his taxes back, his interest back, everything that he paid the day of the sale. He also had a title search done, so that had to be refunded. So he is gonna get his money back, and the county itself is only out the $663.95. Any questions?
Okay, yeah, I've got questions. You say that we'll be refunding taxes. Now, is that, I don't know if you have the form I have here, $5278.47, is that the amount there? And I didn't show that on this, so we need to find out what you want done and the wording you need it done,
Okay, well, I just want to invalidate the whole sale,
okay?
and the county will be paying $663.95. I will refund out the taxes, which was $3,266.02. He paid $795.73 over surplus. He paid a city tax, what has to be refunded. He also gets interest on the money that he paid the day of the sale. So,
Okay, now you say the city tax be refunded by them?
I'm going to refund it and then notify them, the persons, I mean, there's still city taxes owed on that same piece of property.
Okay.
But I will explain to them why I refunded it, because it was under the wrong name.
Now, we'll have to identify this in the motion. I see that 0860 number across the top. Is that a good identification?
Yes, that's the parcel number, 0860130103.
01011.00. Okay, so if we name that in the motion, and that will identify the property, and then you may have to help us through this motion. You get however you want it done. For instance, that $5,200 total, is that to be in this motion? Or what? Or just the $663?
I mean, whatever you.
We're trying to clear up this system, this error.
Okay. All of his money that he paid in, plus the $663.95.
So, and that's the $5,278?
Well, that actually didn't include the, interest, but the interest comes from the.
Okay, so if we say,
Okay.
on that item number that he's gonna read off, and, then there's a $5,278 major cost on refunding of taxes and such to be done. And then there's that $663 item below. Is that basically what you need taken care of?
As long as it covers everything.
If you have a total, then we can submit a breakdown,
I'm getting ready to do a total.
Okay.
right here.
Okay.
and then we'll submit a breakdown of the payout if you've got the correct total.
What if we invalidate the tax sale
Yes, I'm getting ready.
due to, and give that number, and then say that the collector's office will work with the clerk's office in getting the tax, the dollars straightened out? Will that work with everybody?
No.
No, here's what I got.
It will work if you'll give me a total. We can do the breakdown internally.
Yeah.
You just have to do the total, how it affects the budget.
And
So
if I take the $5,278.44, and I take the $663.95, I come up with $5,942.39. Will that take care of everything we need to pay back to this gentleman, or this lady, or whatever?
Well, there's cities and everything else involved.
that's what I'm saying. If you give the total, how it's gonna affect the budget, then we can have the
They're in
breakdown.
that total.
But
You
they're
can't
in the
just say
total.
pay whatever.
Okay, I don't care what you do with, here's what I mean, I don't care what you do with the money right now when I say make this motion. As long as this guy's getting back the full amount that I say that he's gonna get, that we pay back.
What is that? What was that total again?
That is, I took the $5,278.44. I added the $663.
and strike that from the record, that I don't care what you do with the money.
You don't, I'm sorry, yes, but as Kevin said.
that's the headline.
Yeah, thanks. But as Kevin said, we have to make the motion of the full amount, and the breakdown that happens after this is where the money goes. That's what, I don't care what
As
the,
long as it makes an individual plus.
as long as that
so-
price is exactly what we have.
But they're gonna want it counting the breakdown, so that's what I'm saying.
That's,
we will
that's
do a
true.
breakdown.
We can deal with that after we, get the total amount here. Correct? Do we need to take on this?
Should have been submitted that way, I just say, make it good.
Yes.
Okay,
He paid some extra things that I wasn't aware of when I first gave this. I'm sorry, but the amount,
Does this have to be exact, or can we have does this have to be done this week, or can we have a complete breakdown and approved for next Tuesday?
say not to exceed maybe.
You have to have a total or the breakdown either way, but if we don't have either, we got a problem.
okay.
You see what I'm saying? If you could have it itemized, then they could just approve that itemized reimbursement next Tuesday. I mean, unless there's something that's really,
Well, he's kind of wanting his money back.
no, I don't blame you.
And we understand, but we gotta know what amount
And what
that
I'm
is.
gonna do is, I'm gonna put this back on the sale this year,
Yeah.
now that it's corrected, because both parcels that were involved are still due.
Well, could you give us a breakdown, and let's come back to it, we've only got a couple more things here, but could you give us a breakdown if they could approve?
Yep.
And right today, and we'll,
Yes.
I mean, they're willing
Okay,
to
so we
approve it.
can forestall the finalization of this. Now, on your trip back to your office, which I assume you have to do.
No,
Nope. Okay, you only have one parcel number there. Now we're talking about two parcels.
Now, there's two parcels that were due, but the only one, this one was sold.
Okay, so that one parcel number.
That's long.
Okay.
Okay. You wanna go to the next one?
Okay.
I've got a question.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I just,
Clearly, one parcel lost a house, and another parcel gained a house.
Well, the line was drawn around the house or something, and it became two parcels, or,
Well, what I was getting at is that I'm kind of hearing that both parcels were up for sale by the county
Yeah.
because of taxes or whatever.
yeah.
Did the other parcel sell? In other words, did somebody buy a parcel and all of a sudden they got a house?
It's not part of the conversation.
I realize it's not part of this conversation, but it does raise that question.
Yeah. Good question, and she's gonna come back, so we're just
Okay.
going to recess this item until later in the meeting. Okay, I thought maybe later in the meeting was now, but it's not.
All right.
Okay, so we'll
she's
move
making
on.
copies for all of you, so that you'll have it in front of you and know what you're.
So we're gonna move on and then come back to this in the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, we have had an issue, as some of you know, that the heating system is not working well in this building. And I'm sorry, not the heating system, some of them think it is, but it's the air conditioning system. And so we have, as a commission, decided that on those very hot days, that we will shut this building down at 2 p.m. Now, some buildings or offices in this building get very warm early in the day. My office is bitterly cold. I've been thinking about selling standing space in there.
Ours is really long.
Yeah, right. But anyway, and this room stays a little cooler, but mine's right off this wall. I get all the air conditioning, I think, for the whole building. So anyway, this is an update on what we've done, and to standardize everything. When that website at 10 a.m. shows that the forecast for that day is 92 degrees or more, that we will shut the building down at 2 p.m. And we just standardized it that way. I didn't want them shopping different forecast sources and all that, so there it is, that's the rule. And so the door signs will show this, no, Dan, the jail is not included in it.
I was just gonna make that.
No.
If the news media reports this, Road and Bridge and the sheriff department never shuts down, so we'll be there.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, because our office by afternoon, usually, the trailer that we're working in, it's usually about 85 degrees.
And each one of you has a truck, a air conditioning.
Jimmy don't.
that's a trailer at 85 degrees, that's a big building.
I thought you tore that building down.
We're working out of a temporary
Temporary.
construction trailer. It's like an aluminum can.
It's that blue box over
Yeah, the
there.
blue box.
So, are we to assume that this issue is being addressed at your afterthought?
Yes, yeah, and it's in, first of all, because of COVID, we were having a problem anyway with air from that office will come over here or whatever. And so we were trying to control that aspect of the COVID response. And so that's why that redesign was on COVID ARPA funds. Now, that process of architectural design is in process now. We, talking to Brian, the basic problem is that this is a 2006 building, 16 years old, and the control system is beginning to wear out. For instance, each of these thermostats apparently has a diaphragm in it that's only got 16 years of fluctuation in it. 40 weeks plus replacement time for those diaphragms, for those parts. And so, and although that is in process, and it could be that the architectural change will change out this control system. Don't know that yet. That's, hopefully that will update that. So that's the reason that we're doing it. We just had some people that were miserable in their office.
Is it a control issue or is it a ducting, you know, the way the ducts are routed and return
That's-
airflow?
Yes.
That's what they are working on.
Yes.
And
Those are,
all of
another
that.
thing, the diaphragms, the diodes, do we wanna spend the money to fix them other than, if you're gonna replace it, why spend that kind of money to fix it? And I will tell you this, when you go to buying the units today, long hours.
Well, it's probably a long time to get it scheduled.
Long.
Did Brian say diaphragm or diode? I thought he said diaphragm. There's a big difference.
Yeah, yes, diaphragm,
Okay.
and basically, a lot of them are, you know, even here, they're wearing out, and there's a lot, every thermostat has one. So you can imagine, and they're pretty expensive. So weighing that out, why do we wanna do this? We're gonna come with a new type system, electronic wise, and they are working on this, and I'm sorry, I wish we'd have had this done, but, Mindy, you've been here quite a while, it's pretty well the same basic problem, isn't it? And I think it's from day one, but.
Yeah, the building's
I would
always had
assume that the engineer didn't design it, that we have to have a sprinkler on our roof,
Yeah.
sprinkling the
Yeah.
air conditioner. I don't see that in common design.
KRJ. That was KRJ, I just mentioned that.
Okay. So this is a report, it's not, doesn't require action. We've already taken the action. So that's just a report of why and how we're doing it. Okay.
I want to thank you guys on that. I know I have my office in there, it gets, there was a couple of days last week, and the week before that, we're getting up high 80s, and it's just, I know my girls in the office would appreciate that.
Well, if you walk around this building, you'll see a lot of doors
tough.
propped open with fans sitting outside.
I think, and especially I feel like this top floor on this section, I know Louis' office as well, I mean, it gets pretty, afternoons, it gets pretty miserable in there. It's hard to, especially deal with numbers and everything else, and dealing with bills come out, you know, if they're not thinking correctly with the heat, because it gets rough in there. If anybody has a comment to you, tell them they come sit in my office for the afternoon, I think they'll agree that we should
Well,
close it down, but.
I hate to tattle, but I think Corey has both a heater and a fan.
Yeah, we can borrow our heaters in our
Yeah.
room if you,
Anyway, moving on.
So our office is going to work as needed, whether it's 80 degrees or whatever, because
Till
John's
2
got.
p.m. Yeah, I had to standardize it somehow. And I don't know if your office gets the hottest of all of them, but.
It gets pretty warm.
And Brian did ask that all the south-facing offices shut their blinds, and especially in the afternoon, but just stop that solar gain.
They have been for 5 years, and I've requested this be fixed for the last 5 years.
I know, well aware of that. But ARPA money finally came up, so that's how we finally started being able to look at these things. Okay, report, any questions on that report? Other possible business, correspondence, public comments, departmental reports. John.
Go ahead.
Can you go back to the slide that shows O'Bannon Road, please?
No,
One more. There you go. So this morning we got a call about 9 o'clock from our sign crew We have a bridge right here, this is Sugar Grove, right there. That bridge is approximately 4 foot tall, 12 foot wide, it collapsed this morning. So
It
Sugar
was
Grove.
found this morning.
Huh?
It was found
It was
this
found this morning. So that road will be closed until we can figure out an emergency solution to rebuild the bridge, put in a set of box culverts, whatever the best solution is. We have some calls out, yeah, we have some calls out right now, to see what's available. So we
The
just
going around at least is not as bad.
It's not terrible.
Because you go down E
Right,
or.
so just some clarification, this road does not meet the minimum for our MoDOT inspected bridges, they have to be 20 feet.
Yeah.
So this is just something that was built
morning.
in-house.
20 feet of length, not effective width.
20 feet of, you know,
We're gonna have to build this bridge.
we're gonna have to build it, so this is
And
gonna be an.
apparently, an overloaded vehicle crossed it, and the bridge sagged on top, it didn't.
Very
actually collapse.
possible, yeah.
And no known injuries or anything like that.
No.
Whoever it was just kept on going.
They just kept going. I'm sure they will not come back through there.
They're not gonna come back and talk about it.
It's a low water.
It's not a low water, it's
Box
a.
culvert.
Hey, John, in this where we've had some pretty major flooding in that out there by Heron,
Sugar
is it
Grove?
close?
No, there's Sugar Grove.
This is out by Mary Gillum.
Just
uh,
off of D Highway.
Yeah, there's major flooding right there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've never really noticed a lot that comes out of this area, right?
Yeah, no, major flooding there. That, I think Kevin Harrington have a house there.
Okay, so he's on down to the next one.
Yeah, but I mean, there is major flooding there when we get them extensive.
If we get a huge rain, yeah, so
Yeah.
what you have is it actually
Yeah.
starts up off of Hillsborough,
Yeah,
comes
okay.
under D Highway.
Yeah.
South of the subdivision and comes through there.
All right.
And while we're on Road Bridge, I would like to add one thing in our discussion earlier. Regardless of the decision that the commission may make next week in regards to Ridgetop Drive, it should be noted, because I know the commission as well as John and I are inundated weekly, daily, for people desiring for the county to take in additional roads, additional subdivisions, additional maintenance on our part, which I know over the past 10 years, the commission has pretty much denied all those requests, that this is not a request to take in additional roads. It's one that we
Yes.
already have. So
It's clarifying the agreement.
clarifying the agreement, it's not taking in additional roads.
Okay.
Because I know the waiting list, or the list of requests is extensive, and I just want to make it clear that that's not the case, regardless of how the commission decides next week.
Okay, thank you. Now, we do have a, yeah, there it is. We do have a note from Pam about the dollar figures now. And so, motion please
So
from
you're
someone.
back in general business on
Yes.
item
And so, all right, I'm going to make a motion to invalidate the, what number are we calling that? Parcel number
There it is.
080601300001100.
Point, oh,
Point, I'm sorry, forgot the point. Okay. Invalidate that's the sale and to pay back, tax sale, and pay back the $5,613.22 to reimburse the,
total.
Person and the entities,
person
and the
and
entities,
the entities.
that covers
Okay,
all the rest.
so, and we will provide copies of this to the media, whoever needs this. Okay, I have a motion, second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, Louis?
Who is the person?
I don't have that, I don't know if that's public
It's Colby
information.
Murdoch.
Colby Murdoch.
Do we need that or, I'm not, yeah.
Okay, it's one parcel, so there's one name.
Would you like to amend that to include that person's name?
Well, I really don't know.
Doesn't,
the
you don't
parcel.
really need it, it's just
The
the
parcel
buyers.
covers it.
Well, they will need that name for
Right.
the county to make the check out.
Yes,
Right.
okay. Well, if I wanna, I'll amend it to, include Colby Murdoch. I figured the parcel will cover it, but if we need that, that's fine.
Second question is, this was due to a mapping error. Whose mapping error?
Assessor's office.
Ours.
All right, so will part of that be coming out of their budget?
I don't think so.
Would be.
I-
We've had some of these in the past, I don't
Says out
know
of
if any have got any
general
tax sale.
I believe the statute says under general revenue, you have to invalidate a sale. But only $663 is gonna come out of general revenue. The rest is gonna be refunded through our office.
Okay.
Karen, I think I heard the Commissioner Buckley second that.
I second it.
Yes.
With the addition of the name?
Yes, that with the amendment.
Okay. Questions? All in favor of adapting or adopting this, whatever, the motion, please say aye.
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 Okay, now, I think-
You're back to department reports.
Department reports.
okay, does that take care of now?
It takes care of everything on department reports. I want to report that we've started absentee voting for the August election this morning.
Okay, now I'm going to department reports, okay. Now, departmental reports.
Are you going to report on your, bring your dad to work day today, or your son to work day today? Okay, then Jay, introduce your son, Jay.
You want me to speak? You want me to speak?
Yeah, just want to
Pleasure to be here.
introduce you. Jay's son, senior
This is my son,
president. So we
Greg
want-
Rack. He lives in South Carolina now. The
Good
rest
to
of
see
the
you.
family's at home and spread about with all the other grandkids. So,
Okay.
I've never been to a commission meeting, so this has been a pleasure. Great day to spend my 20th vacation.
I like that guy.
The next question is this your last committee?
Yeah.
It sure is.
Okay, Parks, do you have a report?
Oh, just, well, the second round of the ARPA funds did come in last week, so, just shy of 7 million there, just under there, so, that is nice, especially with some of these projects going on, with CAC and everything else. I know it was mentioned on there earlier week with the, we had to get a new system come in for our juror cards with Rapid Finance. We had one go out, it's no cost to the county, it's, they send that as part of the deal with them. But, on the inventory side, we had to replace that scanner, so I know that was up there earlier.
Okay.
Yep.
And we'd always worked with the possibility that second half wouldn't materialize.
Yep, I think,
So
yeah,
now
that
we've
was-
passed that point and
Yep.
now we're
That was
pleased
the
with
goal, was we wanted to make sure we didn't, start spending that, because, I mean, it's the first, we haven't seen something like this before, to have 2 rounds of this come through, so that was nice. That was a nice surprise
Quit
when we see
asking
that.
every week now.
Yeah, I may not see the commissioners for, every day, I think one of them rotating in, come and check it on it.
Well, with these funds, we're finally able to address this.
Yeah, it
heating,
was,
cooling.
why some counties got it before is just when they applied the first time, you had to wait a full year from when you received the funds and also applying for them as well, so, we were about a week later as some of the other counties, but I'm sure we're a week or 2 ahead of other ones as well, so, nice surprise to see that come in last week.
Okay. Any other departmental reports?
I've got one. And last week, Harold, as far as the sale of Maple Street property, I can't take all credit for that.
You did a lot of it.
And I want to thank Parks for helping me, because he was a big part of that. And in the future projects I do, Louis, I want to thank the girls in your office, Kevin in his office, because I'm new, so I have to learn a lot. But those girls helped me tremendous. And we are working on a lot of stuff, and I wanted to thank them for helping, because I'll definitely not take all the credit. They helped me a lot.
Well, I had to blame it on somebody.
I know, but I had to get that out, because Parks did help me a lot.
It just shows how counties should operate, all of our departments, I think, work very well together, and I think that's, I know I take pride in that when I talk to other people about the county and other counties and stuff. I think we're very fortunate that we have a good team here, and we all work so well together, so. Not that we don't drive each other crazy a little bit, but.
Exactly.
I think we're very, very. Again, new to this, other counties I've talked to, they don't have this kind of relationship. I get constantly a spirit message that we're having problems with the commission, having problems with the auditor. I mean, it's just, I think we're very fortunate here, so.
Okay, yes.
Okay, any other departmental reports?
Thank you for that, because we make a lot of the commission meetings and they do not get along, especially the auditor, other offices.
As well as should.
You know, he's right. You're exactly right. People don't understand that. You can't be yes men all the time. So we appreciate that, guys.
Our auditors are our watchdogs. And I often tell people that you want your watchdog to growl. You don't want them to lay over and let them pat your belly. You want them to watch what's going on and point out when they don't have this properly signed form or whatever. Sometimes it's irritating, but they're correct. And because of the way they do their job, we haven't had an audit finding in how many years?
2.
Well,
Been a while.
and I think we might have a pretty good, external audit to report in a couple of weeks too.
Yeah. So, you know, because they're doing their job that well, and because some of us have to back up and say, oh yeah, I didn't get that report to you, it's working very well for us. We're running clean on our auditing.
I agree, Harold, they do growl.
Yeah.
By the way, that growling dog is Amber.
Oh, she's not in there.
Okay, maybe a bad.
There we go.
Okay. Now, and you can't remove this commission meeting from your experience. You can. Okay, any other departmental reports? Okay, now, I have, yeah, this is all about me. I was on a trip to Israel for about 2 weeks. A lot of airplane hours, and I came back with a lot of muscle aches and pain. I'm pain free. It's coming out, and I haven't even had to use my Harold's Famous bee cream for the last few days. So that tells you I'm really feeling good. So, okay, I just want to tell everybody thank you for the prayers, and I appreciate that. Now, I have, yes.
Go ahead, I make a motion, we're going to recess.
Yeah, instead of adjournment, we would like to recess because we have another meeting in here in about at 2.
At 1:30, we have more public comment on the property.
Okay. All right, so we're not going to adjourn, we're going into recess. Thank you all for being here, we appreciate it.